entire thing. They just copied the entire. Yeah, they took the whole song. Brilliant. And it's so good too, the way that they do it. Here's Bob. So he's just
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
You're gonna have to support him.
It's a good thing because if you guys were rowing, you'd be going in circles, and at least now you're. No, I almost did though.
Oh, really?
I love that one. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were doing that one.
Yeah.
But we're doing Gods and Dolls, aren't we?
We're doing like super good.
Oh, okay, but not that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
I
that.
did that at concert once.
Oh, so
I
good.
got on a boat to heaven.
So good. What's his name in the show?
I'm not doing that. That's awesome.
What's his name in the show? It's so good too. It's like a double name. Nicely. Thank you. Very good.
Oh, I got the ones right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good show.
We have one or two.
Saw it in London. So Gods and Dolls in London. That was the same night we came out of almost festival. It's great.
Cool.
This guy was like
that.
approaching us. And there were all like a crowd of people all showed up, and he ran away. And I was like, oh good. It was like, oh. Hi everyone, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It was awesome. Everyone kind of came in at the same time. Cantor Muchnick is convinced that you all have a party bus. that you just park outside and then everyone gets out and everyone comes at the same time from the party bus. So, that's good. This would be awesome if we had a party bus. If we had a Shabbat morning party bus, we pick everyone up, have snacks inside and coffee, and just pick you up. This is a great idea. We have to name it. I don't know. We have to come up with a name. I don't know. Shabbat, shuttle, shul, Shabbat, shul, shuttle, the shul, Shabbat, shuttle, shul. I don't know. I'll stop now.
The Torah study tram.
The Torah study tram. Yes. There's the one best joke about this, and someone did it. There's a congregation in Scottsdale where a family, one of the congregants, owned and operated there was like a really schmancy like coffee bar, and unfortunately it went under. So rather than sell the equipment, they donated the schmancy, like the Starbucks level coffee maker with the bean crusher and all that to the shul, and they every Sunday, which was really popular because parents would stop in after religious school, and the people who owned the machine donated it and operated it every Sunday morning, and they called it Mika Mocha. And it was the Mika Mocha Cafe, and it was brilliant because people came because you would rather go, and it was real coffee. I mean, you were getting a real cup of coffee as opposed to just coming into the synagogue and getting, I mean, I love our coffee here at CBI, but if you've had the coffee here at CBI, then you know.
Some of the best water I've ever had.
Some of the best darkish warm water you've ever had, yes. So.
Dirty water I've ever had.
Yeah, so we're not going to knock that too much here, but those of us who've had the coffee, no, it was prior to the pandemic. They just couldn't keep up with. I don't think they could keep up with the Starbucks. And there's also Coffee Bean on the West Coast. So if you've ever been to Coffee Bean before, it's another really great coffee place. They just couldn't keep up, but it was nice. Every time I went to visit the other rabbi, my colleague, I was like, "Can you open the cafe and get me a latte?" He'd be like, "Yeah, we'll open. Get the latte for you." And I was like, it was awesome. So, Mika Mocha. It was awesome. All right, let's jump in. We're on page 70 In our Sidurim this morning, little Modeh Ani to wake us up. And by the way, our prediction was correct on who was going to be sitting on the right side. We were totally right. So far, the right side is correct. So it's very good. Everyone's sitting in their proper seats. Hello on the live stream. We think it's working. All the lights are on and all the stuff's working. So I don't know. We have a brand new owl. So thanks to the Owl Labs who appreciate the fact that our owl was still under warranty and sent us the newest, schmanciest owl. So brand new. Hopefully those of us who will be watching this, if you're watching the live stream, will switch to the Zoom. You might have the greatest view of all time. I don't know. It's a brand new owl. So we'll see if it works. It's brand spanking new.
Anticipation.
I know, anticipation. It's so new that this computer sold, we had to buy some other attachments to be able to attach to the owl. So we'll see how it goes. All right, 170 is where we begin.
Modeh ani lefanecha, melech v'kayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla, bechemla, rabba emunatecha. Modeh ani lefanecha, melech v'kayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla, bechemla, rabba emunate, rabba emunate, rabba emunatecha.
We continue now on page 180. Sneaky. I know, we're going to jump around a little today. 180.
Elu devarim she'en
Lahem shiur, elu devarim she'en lahem shiur, elu devarim she'en lahem shiur, ve'elu hein. Elu devarim she'en lahem shiur, elu devarim she'en lahem shiur, elu devarim she'en lahem shiur, ve'elu hein.
Kibud avaim, ugmilut
chasadim, v'hashkamat beit hamidrash, shacharit ve'aravit, v'achnasat ochim, uvikur cholim, v'achnasat kala, uvayat hamet. דברים שאין להם שיעור,
אלו דברים שאין להם
הם שיעור, אלו דברים שאין להם שיעור, ואלו הן, ועיון תפילה, והבאת שלום,
בין אדם
לחברו, בין
ותלמוד תורה כנגד
כולם. ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולם, 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 ותלמוד תורה כנגד כולם.
Give you an A for effort.
It was an A, B. Oh, look at that. We didn't plan it. We didn't plan it.
I promise you.
Because it would have sounded slightly better if we planned it. So it was, yeah. Exactly. It does. You're right. Yes. Is it about that?
Study of Torah or voice lessons.
The study of, what did you say? Of
Or voice lessons.
or voice lessons or getting the key right. I was in the vicinity of the right key. No, I'm not intimidated.
No. I should be intimidating him. Absolutely.
I'm not intimidated.
I'm doing it all for you.
I'm not intimidated.
All of you.
I'm not intimidated. Yes.
It says the Elohim.
Yes.
Why are they using the feminine plural for, it says Dvarim. Dvarim, which is a masculine plural, and then they use the Elohim.
Yes. So it's biblically, structurally, I'm going to guess that it's hen, the way that it's used. So in the Talmudic Mishnaic structure, it doesn't necessarily, hen can be okay in that spot. So I'm going to say that is my guess response, because that's true. It happens in text that way. But there is a modifier probably that is officially doing that. There's probably a word that's modifying it. I'm trying to think. They're
not all masculine, actually.
Right.
Because you have kala there.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be since there's actually one feminine aspect.
Oh, because it says here, because keren kayemet. I think that's from there grammatically. It's possible. So if there's anyone in the live stream who's listening that's recording this, it could be I'm very wrong grammatically, but I'm pretty sure that's where it comes from hakeren kayemet, because it would say kayam, it says kayemet. So because the grammatical structure is female there, it goes to hen in that next part. That's my grammatical guess. Right, but the modifier doesn't have to be that high up. The modifier grammatically can be lower down to do that. That part I do know. I don't know if I'm right about the Karen Kayemet part, but that part I do know. Should we redo that part? Do you want to do it again?
No.
Psukei de Zimra, 183.
Baruch she'amar ve'ya'olam.
Baruch Hu.
Baruch Oseh v'reshit.
Baruch Omer ve'oseh.
Baruch Ozer Mkayem.
Baruch merachem al
Baruch
haaretz.
merachem al habriyot.
Baruch meshalem sachar tov l're'av.
Baruch Chailal v'kayam lanetzach.
Baruch podeh matzil, Baruch Shemo.
Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be.
Blessed is the one.
Blessed is the one who continually authors creation.
Blessed is the one whose word is deed.
Blessed is the one who decrees and fulfills.
Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards the world.
Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards all creatures.
Blessed is the one who is reverent.
Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring.
Blessed is the one who redeems and saves. Blessed is God's name.
Baruch atah Adonai, Melech
Melech
mehulal
batishbachot. Let's do a little hallelujah. How do you feel about a little hallelujah on 188?
Praise God.
Way to go.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tzil tzelei shama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tzil tzelei shua. Kol
Shema
anshamate
hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Kol anshamate
Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Shochenad, middle of 192.
Shochenad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim Adonai ayisharim navatehila befi yesharim titalal uvdivrei tzadikim titbarach ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמחלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלכי העולמים. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב. ויאמרו
אמן.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך. לעולם לא מהמיה.
יתברך,
יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרום המתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה
ברכו.
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה.
תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעולמה.
ואמרו
Amen. Continue with the Baruch Hu 195.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam ba'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or v'choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Please be seated. We continue Ahava Rabbah 198.
Ahava Rabbah Haftanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola V'Tera Chamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Ve'imoteinu Shebatchu V'cha V'talmedeim Chukei Chayim V'ha'ernenu b'toratecha V'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha V'yachel levavenu Le'ahava u'lira et shemecha V'lo nevhosh V'lo nikalem V'lo nikashel Le'olam va'ed Ki b'shem kol shecha Hagadol v'hanora b'hatachnu Nagila v'nismecha Nagila v'nismecha Bishuatecha Baruch atah Adonai Habocher be'amo Yisrael be'ahava Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed
201.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
202.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונטלו על ציצית הכנף בטיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו
אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם,
אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
Adonai Elohechem emet. We continue with our song of redemption, Micha Mocha 204.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי
כמוך נדע בקודש, נורא תהילות,
עושה פלא, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא. שירה חדשה, שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתחנו ממך יהודה וישראל, גאלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Amidah 205.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'gibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kadneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevii Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid HaTal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Zomech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman Atah Lehachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol.
Kedusha 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו, אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבודו.
Eloheinu, Uavinu Malkeinu, Umashienu Vehu Yashmienu, Berachamav Leinei Kol Chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohai Ichtzion, Ledor Vador. Hallelujah. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Nagid God Lecha. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Ledor Vador. Nagid God Lecha. Ulenetzach netzachim, ulenetzach netzachim, Yedushatecha nakdish, V'shivchacha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, nagid God lecha. Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, nagid God lecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
We continue silently now, beginning here on page 210, continuing through page 219. When you're finished, please be seated.
Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, Shimcha Malkeinu Tamid Le'olam Va'en Ve'al Kulam Yitbarach Ve'yitromam Yitbarach Ve'yitromam Shimcha Malkeinu Tamid Le'olam Va'en Ve'chol HaChaim Yaducha Sela שמך באמת, האל ישועתנו, ועזרתנו, עזרתנו סלע, ועל כולם, ועל כולם, יתברך ויתרומם, יתברך ויתרומם, שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות.
We continue with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for reading the Torah, page 244.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו ושלום.
Please stand.
אב הרחמים, היטיב רצונך את ציון, תמנה חומות ירושלים, כי בך לבד בטחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, גדול שמו. גדול אדוני איתי, נרוממה שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל ראש. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו L'adon raglav kadosh romimu, romimu, Adonai Eloheinu, vehishtachavu, vehishtachavu, lehar kodshol ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu.
Please be seated. No, pardon me. We are reading Torah portion of Shmini. That is Leviticus 9. Leviticus 9. Shmini, Leviticus 9. Well, I imagine we're starting from the beginning?
We are.
Yes, so Leviticus 9. This is where we are. Leviticus chapter 9. Oh, look, the owl's lit up, so it's working.
It's on.
It's on? All right,
Yeah.
good. Yes. Anyone there? And it's clear. And it's clear? All right, good. All right, good. Leviticus 9. Shmini. Such a good Torah portion. We could spend 5 hours on this and not even. Oh, Shmini is. Oh, I love Shmini.
Oh, Shmini, how I love thee.
I do. I love Shmini. It's a very difficult portion, but it's amazing. Shmini is amazing. It's also about ordination, and I love talking about ordination. What was that?
You're not allowed to leave.
Leave where?
Here.
Leave here where?
According to Shmini.
Right. Oh, because why?
It's capital punishment.
That's true. There's lots of capital punishments, all kinds of punishments, all kinds of weird things happen in Shmini. Pretty things and weird things, and kosher things and unkosher things. All right. Anyone want to do the Aliyah for us on this fine Shabbat morning? Anyone want to do Aliyah? Anyone feeling Aliyah this morning? When you all put your hand up at the same time, it's very hard to decide who's gonna do it. Who wants to? Now there are several hands. Now there are several hands. Who want? Like hands, but uncertain hands. All right, done. Excellent. Thank you, Linda. Ta'amod Leah bat Ruven v'gittel L'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMvarach.
Baruch
Adonai Barach Le'olam
Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayhi bayom hashmini kara Moshe leHaron ulvanav ulziknei Yisrael vayomer el Haron achlecha egel ben bakar lechatat ve'ayel le'olat tamimim ve'akriv lifnei Adonai ve'el bnei Yisrael tedaber le'mor kechu se'irizim lechatat ve'egel ve'cheves bnei shana tamimim le'olah ve'shor ve'ahil nishlamim lizboach lifnei Adonai u'mincha belulav hashemen ki hayom Adonai nira alechem.
Shkoach.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torat Emet V'Hayei Olam Nata B'Tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you can do it faster next time.
Well, I practiced this one.
Yeah, you practice this one? That was good.
Yeah, you believe that?
That was good. No. We are going to raise and dress. Where's our raise and dress team?
You're in the back.
Yeah, all right, raise and dress team. We're on 252, friends, in our Sidurim, and together we stand. 252.
Vizot HaTorah עשה משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה.
It's getting faster and faster every time. It's very just like the cancer. That's right. Nice job. Nice job.
It's really good. I know. I know. Hag Bagliling. Let's see if we can. It'd be amazing. He had 9. This was 9. Yeah. Oh, the two ends were kind of open. You could see those two ends. Yeah. Oh, I think they counted. It was you could read it very clearly. They count for you. I say 9. I said 9 to the cantor too. I was like, those were 9 columns. You could see 9 columns, which is pretty impressive. There are 7 in the center, but which judges? The Russian. Well then, I don't care about the Russians. Great. We can say 8. What did Rabbi Akiva say? Rabbi Akiva would say, "Why are you even doing this?" Probably. Let's do our blessing. What's that? It's true. It was also very high. He had the height. Maybe we should start doing that too. He's taller than you, isn't he? I don't know.
He's also, I think, 20 years younger.
I think so. Also, yes. Okay. Yeah. We're not going with that one. All right. Good. Okay. Let's do our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. All right. Shmini has, in my estimation, many sections and many parts, but 3 separate sections particularly. One section is this first opening section regarding the actual ordination. We've been hearing about the ordination of Aaron and his sons for a little while, and this is the official ordination now as we begin the Torah portion. Then we get to the section regarding Nadav and Avihu, which is very complicated and very ugly section, and then we get to this whole weird section about kosher laws that just sort of pop up at the end for us, which I don't think, by the way, are a mistake or mysteriously there. I think it flows with how the Torah portion goes, and then how next week flows, but by the way, next right into next week. But so there are 3 different sections. My goal, by the way, is to dip into each if we can. I feel like we're going to get stuck in section 2, because I feel like we're going to get stuck with Nadav and Avihu because it's such a complicated section. But my goal is to jump in at least to the first part and jump out of the first part as quickly as possible for us to see if we can get to part 2 and part 3. There's a part 4 too, actually, but we're definitely not going to get to part 4. So, yes?
When it says by Yom HaShmini, where were we counting days before?
So Tzav, the previous week, right? So don't forget, we had Pesach in the middle. So it's 2 weeks ago that we discussed Tzav. And Tzav is the preparation and the explanation of what the ordination is going to be for transitioning and creating the priesthood. So now it's in the 8th day, we're picking up in the 8th day of the ordination, right? So it's as if we've been hearing about the first couple of days over in Tzav, and then we took the Pesach break because Pesach got in the middle, like it always does. And then, Pesach, exhausting. And then, it's not my favorite. I'm sorry.
You don't like matzah?
I don't like matzah. I don't like very much about anything about Pesach. I'm sorry. And actually, that's not true. I like when it ends. So, but I like when it ends. I like when Pesach ends. I'm sorry. So that's why it's the eighth day, because we're picking up into the eighth day of the ordination. So this is why it's called Shemini. So let's just jump in, and then we'll see how far we get in this first section. I'll pull us out, and we're going to get to 2. I promise we'll get to 2. All right, here we go.
On the 8th day, Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. He said to Aaron, "Take a calf of the herd for a purgation offering, and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, and bring them before the Eternal. And speak to the Israelites, saying, Take a he-goat for a purgation offering, a calf and a lamb, yearlings without blemish for a burnt offering, and an ox and a ram for an offering of well-being to sacrifice before the Eternal, and a meal offering with oil mixed in. For today the Eternal will appear to you."
Okay, so it was not terribly exciting, right? Section. It's just a setup for what they need for the ordination. Who's talking, by the way? Right. So Moses is speaking to who? Aaron and his sons. And the elders. All right, good. So this is the pretty heavy-duty group that's having this conversation, right? And because they're going to be the ones who are going to be involved in the ordination process. If you ever gone, by the way, to see anyone be ordained before, then you see it's a heavy process, and the heavies are there, meaning the most important people as part of the institution are sitting there also. It's very similar, by the way. I mean, there's no blood and there's none of that, obviously, but it's a very similar process if you've ever seen one. If you've never seen an ordination and you have a chance to go to, even if someone you know in distant, and it doesn't matter if it's an Orthodox ordination or a conservative ordination or a formal ordination, I recommend you go, because bring a snack, because it's long, but also it's a several hour process. However, it's an incredible process to watch, and it's very similar to this, and all the most important people are sitting there. So there's the setup for us, and then now we get to 5. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Rabbi, I find it interesting that he's recounting all what's going to happen, but at the end of it, he says to him, which I find very interesting, that at that point God is going to speak to him, Aaron.
Well, it doesn't say speak.
Or he's going to come before.
God's going to appear, meaning maybe the presence or the sense. Right? We don't know what appear means. It could mean literally, but probably not, based on the conversation we had in the last 2 weeks. I don't remember we talked about this, how the presence of God, right? We saw the back of God when right, and Moses was covered, which we learned about when we talked about Pesach, which was last week, right? So, but there might be some kind of presence or feeling of God that's different, which would make sense, by the way. Just think about that. Even though it's not physical, if you transition from one role to another and suddenly you're put into a very important, auspicious role, you might feel different. Your presence, the presence of the space might feel different. So we're not sure what that means, but it does say, literally, that for today the Lord will appear to you. So it says it in the text. We just don't know how to interpret that necessarily. But yes, you're right. It's pretty auspicious of what's about to happen. Yeah, please.
They brought to the front of the tent of meeting the things that Moses had commanded, and the community leadership came forward and stood before the Eternal. Moses said, "This is what the Eternal has commanded that you do, that the presence of the Eternal may appear to you." Then Moses said to Aaron, "Come forward to the altar and sacrifice your purgation offering and your burnt offering, making expiation for yourself and for the people, and sacrifice the people's offering and make expiation for them, as the Eternal has commanded."
Okay, so what's purgation, by the way? Sin. It's your sin. It's a sin offering. It's the schmancy word for sin, right? So it's the sin offering, and how is the structure of it, right? So Moses says to Aaron. So who's in charge of ordination? Moses is in charge of ordination, which is interesting, right? Because he's not being ordained. He's ordaining his brother. Nor has he ever been ordained, nor will he ever be ordained, right? The priesthood will follow Aaron, it will never follow him. Yes?
How could somebody who's not ordained be able to ordain somebody else?
Because he's in charge of the system. And by the way, the head of the system is the ordainer still to this day. So the head of the system is the ordainer. That's what happens at HUC still, by the way. HUC is even more complicated now because the head of HUC is not a rabbi. So the head of HUC is a PhD. So the provost, who is the second in command, let's say, of HUC, is the ordainer because she is the highest ranking rabbi. So, which is also cool because a few years ago, she was the highest ranking rabbi and the set of ordaintees were all women. So it was pretty cool that the ordaining rabbi was ordaining women, which is pretty cool anyway. That happened a few years ago. So she is currently the ordainer because the current head of HUC is not a rabbi, which is a whole other conversation for us to have some other time, which is troublesome. But okay, so yes.
Well, that also, the whole ordination thing also brings up like 6 is a lie.
6 is a lie.
Right?
Why?
Because God did not command Aaron to do that. Moses did. Moses,
Well, but
like,
it's
we started this with who's
but it's through God, though. I mean, it's understood that Moses isn't doing this. I mean, Moses is simply he's the vessel. What's happening is through God. It's not, Moses isn't ordaining anyone, right? God, through God's presence, is ordaining. He's not. Ooh, fun. He's not the ordainer, although he is the physical one to put the hands on. The transference is the.
I'm saying like the offerings, that was Moses' idea. That wasn't God's idea.
What do you mean?
I mean, we started this with who's speaking, and we established that Moses was.
Yeah, 100%. But I would say that none of this is happening without God's command, without God's presence in all of this. Yes, you're right that the language simply does say. I love when you go pshat on me. When you go literal on the text, you're right because the text does say this. So you're right. It's complicated because it doesn't give us any more information than what it says. The Torah says this. Why do I have to go any further? Very good pshatting. Very good pshatting. However, pshat is how you read text simply by what the text says. You don't go any deeper. It says this. I read this. That's what I understand from it. Well, you don't have to like pshat. There are 3 other options for you to interpret text. So you can abandon pshat if you want to. I'm also not typically a pshatist. I usually abandon pshat almost immediately. I go deeper than anything, which is maybe a fault, but I usually go into that. So it's also a fun word to say over and over again. Pshatist. Pshatist, pshatist, pshatist. You want to try? No. I know. All right. Okay. So if you see Aaron comes forward and does the sacrifice on behalf of the people, which is also probably the beginning of the development of, if you've ever seen the Hineni, particularly at the high holidays, where the Shatz, who is a Shilech Tzibor, which is usually him, that guy, says, I'm here on behalf of the congregation. I'm not bringing my stuff onto you. You're not bringing my stuff onto me. I'm just representing the congregation at this point. And so it's probably some root to the Hineni, the origin of that we hear at the high holidays. Okay, now on 8.
Aaron came forward to the altar and slaughtered his calf of purgation offering. Aaron's sons brought the blood to him. He dipped his finger in the blood and put it on the horns of the altar, and he poured out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. The fat, the kidneys, and the protuberance of the liver from the purgation offering he turned into smoke on the altar, as the Eternal had commanded Moses. And the flesh and the skin were consumed in fire outside the camp. Then he slaughtered the burnt offering. Aaron's sons passed the blood to him, and he dashed it against all sides of the altar. They passed the burnt offering to him in sections, as well as the head, and he turned it into smoke on the altar. He washed the entrails and the legs and turned them into smoke on the altar with the burnt offering.
Okay, thank you. So this whole section I just want us to read because there's very instructional. That's the whole point of that. I just wanted us to read that. It's very specific. The Torah goes into a ridiculous amount of specificity regarding how you're going to do this. Yes? Good? So we're just going to go a little bit further now. So just jump to 22, verse 22, still in 9, 22.
Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them.
Bless you.
And he stepped
Okay, ta-da, ordination. Yay! They're ordained. Yippee! Okay, and so this fire comes forth. It accepts all of the stuff that they did. They are officially ordained. Aaron's essentially the high priest at this moment. We'll get more of that connection later in time. But so Aaron and his sons now officially, let's say, begin the priesthood. And this is where Kohanim are developed. This is your first Kohen. So if you're down the line all the way, if you're a Kohen, this is where the line started at this spot. Mazel tov, all the way to you. Congratulations. Yes?
Every time there's a new Kohen in the new generation, do they have to go through an ordination, or it's just by birth?
Well, there's no more priestly system.
I went to boot camp.
So, right, right, right.
At that time, when there was a priestly, do they have to have a new ordination every time?
Oh, yeah. When the high priest became the high priest, sure. When the high priest became the high priest, there was a form of ordination for sure. Yeah.
Each generation or whatever?
Sure. Which, by the way, still happens because every single rabbi that becomes a rabbi and now cantor is because it's the same term, because it used to be two terms. The cantors used to be called invested. Cantors were invested and rabbis were ordained, but then it switched and now both the term is for both. Now, and it was retroactive. So when they switched the terminology, at least at HUC, it was retroactive. So even the invested cantors from years and years and years before who were invested were now ordained. So now all rabbis and cantors at HUC are ordained. So you have to go through the whole system. The highest ranking person has to come out. They have to do the whole spiel. The elders show up. This whole thing happens every time, and then you ordain a certain number of people. Yes?
Isn't reference made to this during a Brit Milah? If it's a boy, that's
Don't think so.
Kohen.
Moyle, what do you think over there? I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I seem to remember many years ago that the rabbi who was in charge of the Brit Milah mentioned that the boy was
Ordination?
Kohanim. Huh?
Well, it's possible that if he was simply in the line of the lineage of a Kohen, that it was just mentioned as part of his Hebrew name that he was given.
It's possible.
But
Yeah.
unless it's specific.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
It's possible because a lot of stuff happens regarding that in terms of not just the brit, but a pidyon haben oftentimes happens on the firstborn, and that often connects, and the priesthood interferes with pidyon haben because if you are my maternal grandfather, may he rest in peace, was a Kohen, but the Kohen doesn't go through mom, it goes through dad. So I'm not a Kohen because my dad was not a Kohen. But because she was a Bat Kohen, she was the daughter of a Kohen, she didn't have to do Pidyon Haben for me, right? Because it does interfere. So you might be thinking of that too, because your status as a Kohen does interact in those specific spots still to this day. If one goes through Pidyon Haben, you don't necessarily have to, but that's buying back the child, right? Because the child doesn't belong to you. The child belongs to God, so you purchase your child back. So have you ever done it before? Have you ever done a Pidyon Haben? No? Well, you can because you're a Kohen. You just have to get the coins. So,
Like John Wick coins.
well, like John Wick coins. Way to go, make the John Wick reference. I still want to see 4. Have you seen the 4th one? I have not. Yeah, I saw 3, but not 4. I wanted to see John Wick 4. All right. So, yay, they're ordained. Okay. Now we're on 10.
Now Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, each took his fire pan, put fire in it, and laid incense on it. And they offered before the eternal alien fire, which had not been enjoined upon them. And fire came forth from the eternal and consumed them. Thus they died at the instance of the eternal. Then Moses said to Aaron, "This is what the eternal meant by saying, 'Through those near to me I show myself holy,' and gain glory before all the people." And Aaron was silent.
All right. Yeah. So here's one of the most challenging pieces of text, really. And so many commentaries and so many explanations try to explain out of this. But ultimately, these 2 kids die, right? So, and and they are the children of Aaron, right? Aaron had 4 sons, and Nadav and Avihu die here. He has Eleazar and Itamar, so those are the 2 other sons, but they die here. So here is the questions, though. Why? What happened? Like what? Why did they die? That's the first question I have. Why did they die? They didn't follow the rules. Okay, that's one explanation. It's very simple. How do we know they didn't follow the rules?
God said so.
How do we know? Was that? Right. So the alien fire wasn't enjoined upon them. What does that mean in English? They weren't told to do it. Yeah, it wasn't. It was an unsanctioned burn, right? It was an unsanctioned fire. Okay. Well, is death worth them not following the rule, right? Could there have been another way to explain this, right? If it was unsanctioned, could they not have died? Could there have been something else to explain the situation? Yeah.
Perhaps in order to become the high priest, he has to make a burnt offering more than just an animal. This is his ultimate burnt offering to make in order to become the first high priest.
Okay, so perhaps that there's more than just an animal. Now, I will tell you, first of all, probably makes us uncomfortable because we don't want that. We don't hear any time else, by the way. So no other time in history do the humans get sacrificed in the system. However, to your point, if you look at verse 24 in the previous chapter, right? It says, fire came forth from before God and consumed the burnt offering. And if you look at now chapter 10, what does it say? It says in verse 2, fire came forth and consumed them. It's structurally the same. Fire came forth and consumed the offering. Fire came forth and so.
What does that mean that a human being has to be sacrificed?
Well, I don't think that a human being needed to be sacrificed, and we don't hear it ever again. I do think structurally it's intriguing, though, because it's the same language, both for the animal previously at the end of 9 and here in verse 2 of 10. Yes?
By mistake.
What's that?
By mistake.
It could, and by the way, commentary says it was just a mistake. They chose poorly, yeah. If you know Indiana Jones, there's that great line, right? That, he chose poorly. Such a great line. Yes. So, because he disintegrates in the wrong Holy Grail, wrong religion, got a little Jesus in there. But that's fine. So, yes. So, hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess so. I wasn't taking consideration the fact that they chose poorly, but it's almost like what you're talking about in the Ben is that the firstborn is given to God as his student.
Uh-huh.
Almost, it just sort of felt like this a little bit.
Interesting. Okay. Although I don't think Nadav and Avihu are the older ones. I think Eleazar is the oldest. I think Eleazar and Itamar are older. So, but yes, I like where your head's at because it corresponds to that weird little space. What were you saying?
I think somebody was smoking something.
You think someone was smoking something? All right, great. It's possible. I mean, it's a weird piece of text. Yeah.
Ordination is something new.
Yes.
And I think that by having this happen, let me see if I can, thoughts in my head, but can't get the words out. Let me try this. And it's to be taken seriously.
Yes.
And because of that, if someone is doing something that's alien and wasn't instructed to do that, there's a serious penalty.
Uh-huh.
And people will see that, hey, this is serious. And in fact, it was so serious that a lesson was learned and it never occurs again.
Yes. Okay. So one commentary definitely says exactly what you said. That so well done. that it exactly says they were held to a higher standard. The ordination literally just ended. How could they have not known what to do? It literally just ended. You just got the rules. So they went and broke the rules. And when you break the rules, particularly after I give you the rules and I say that you're about to be the priests, and you break the rules, there are repercussions. And now everyone from now on will know from this point forward, don't do this. Because, by the way, if you read a little further, it says, it isn't right here, but a little further it'll say, don't go near fire. Like, don't do this. It says it a couple of verses later, right? So it's possible that that's what happened. And by the way, the proof text for that commentary is the last part of 3. What's the last bit, like 3b? What's 3b? The last part of 3. And Aaron was silent. So the proof text for that commentary is that Aaron maybe realizes, okay, they just shouldn't have done that. I mean, he's not happy about it, but he has nothing else to say. Like, this is what happened because they weren't listening. It's not a good answer, but it's one of the proof texts. Yeah.
Go further with what Jay was saying. This is talking about they're setting a standard here. The bar is being set.
Yeah.
I think the real critical thing that they didn't do is that they were representing the community. And they no longer represented the community. It was their ego. They were doing this for a party or for effect, whatever it is. So they not only violated the bar as far as following the rules, but they crushed the idea that the priest is set the standard for the community.
Mm-hmm.
But they did this independent act for their own benefit.
Oh, you think it was for their own benefit?
I don't think that, yes.
Okay. Okay. Look, it's also, by the way, the text is, why is the Torah so good? It says esh zara, which means, and it says alien fire. It also means a strange fire. It also means, it's hard to define zara. It just means, zar means strange or foreign or any one of those. So it can be unauthorized. There's no official definition for it, which is why it just says esh zara. So we don't know if the alien fire was a party. Were they showing off? Look, we're priests and you aren't. All of these are possibilities, by the way, and all of them. However, the ultimate problem is that they die. So that no one should be happy. No one should take lightly the fact that they die. So. But was that what we were making a point? Were they having a party? It's just the part that shouldn't sit with us, okay, is that they die.
There was a standard, they violated this huge standard because they're representing the entire community.
Right. No, I don't disagree with you. And it's, again, this is well in the realm of all conversations regarding this moment. This is everything that we've said is well within the realm of all our conversation. Yes. You're next. Yeah.
The next phrase down, interesting, when Moses is trying to console Aaron, he says, that God said, be near me and you'll be holy. And that sounds like a very uplifting, positive statement. But what he really meant by saying that is, if you pretend to be holy and you don't do it wrong, you're going to die. That's not exactly what God said, but that's what Moses said God meant when he said, be holy and do good.
It's very possible that Moses in this moment says, you kind of knew the rules, right? And they didn't follow the rules. So you stay holy, you stay on the right track of the holiness, and the stuff will be okay. But if you don't, then
That's not what God said, but that's what Moses is saying he really meant when he said.
right. Which is actually the problematic section of the problematic concept of the section. Yes. 3 things.
Aaron was silent. I have read an interpretation that it also can be interpreted that he bled, that he was such in pain inside that he was bleeding. And
Yes, because it says vaidom, and that can mean silent, but it also has the word adom in it, and adom means red. So it can be also like rageful, or that his blood drained from him by hearing that his sons died. So any of those interpretations can follow, because God forbid you ever want to hear that sentence. You can't even possibly wrap your head around it. So, yes?
And I think once we talked about that it also might have been punishment to Aaron for the golden calf.
Yes. So, a lot of commentaries, very easy and accessible commentaries, although are painful, but yes, that is the punishment for the golden calf, because he doesn't get really a punishment. He doesn't get punished for the golden calf, because he allows it to happen, and so this is the punishment. Yes.
Not punish the son for the sins of the father.
Right.
Not the father for the sins.
Right. But that's what that's one of the commentaries. You're going to say something?
I was going to say two things.
Yes.
One, God's very temperamental.
Yeah, that's
His
true.
go-to is killing you. I mean, almost throughout, the first two books. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. The second thing is that I think part of the problem, the concern, is that Aaron isn't actually allowed to even fully mourn
Right.
the process. So it's not just that his sons died and he went silent, but the whole process of how we go through mourning the loss of a loved one, it was almost as though he wasn't even allowed. That's, to me, a bigger problem than actually the
Yes.
punishment.
So does that actually mean that if somebody did something wrong and they got punished for it by death, that we should not even acknowledge their death?
Not to me.
No, I know necessarily.
That's the problem
Yeah.
I have with that.
That's why the section is problematic.
Is this what it's teaching us?
Yeah, Ian?
Well, to build off that, I guess, my issues with Moses on this,
What's that?
my issues with Moses
Okay.
is, these are still his nephews too.
Yeah.
And his only response to his brother is basically told you so.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of messed up on Moses' part, because let's be honest, this is the first ever ordination. It's not like these people had any reference point for what you could or could not do. We all are told what the rules are, right? And everybody, especially children, test the boundaries of the rules, right? We've all been there before. Right.
Once, exactly.
But this happened once, and the punishment is death by fire.
Didn't happen again.
It doesn't happen again ever.
It seems a little punitive.
Well, it seems very punitive. Yeah. Were you going to say something? Yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing sounds like just a terrible accident. This is the first time it was done. They're playing with fire. They didn't know what they were doing. It kind of reminds you of what happens on the 4th of July, how many people get injured because they start playing and doing inventive things that they shouldn't be doing. All that being said, this is probably the worst sympathy card I've ever
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So along with what Ian said and what Bob said, I found myself thinking, I wonder if Moses is jealous because Aaron's sons are involved and his sons are not.
Mm-hmm.
And, because like you said, the worst sympathy card, how can you say this to your brother
Yeah.
without some resentment?
It's true. Look, we don't hear about Moses' family ever. Moses' family is non-existent in the text, really. We hear about it for a minute, but this is also. But by the way, because I'm a student of Moses, right? So one of his biggest critiques is that he was a terrible father, right, and a bad husband, because he was a workaholic, right? So all he did all day, every day, was with the people. So it's a separate conversation for some other time about Moses. But yes.
Going back to the fun topic of human sacrifice.
Yes.
So my dad brought up a point about human sacrifice where he brought up the binding of Isaac.
Yes.
But that was the test. You're not going to actually do it, but that's the test. I still see this as a test of Aaron. I'm going to kill your kids in front of you. Do you still want to be the high priest after this? We can learn from Aaron's reaction. He was silent. Now the commentary below says from the test, much like Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac. He was fully committed to it, had the knife in his hand ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, it's also a test of the other two brothers who, having seen this and seeing what happened, still picked up the ball and ran with it and said, "Yeah, we'll do it too, and we'll do it right."
Yeah. I guess it's really a lesson to Eleazar and Itamar, because they're going to follow the directions from now on perfectly, right? And to your second point, it doesn't happen again. I mean, this, whether we like the situation or not, this won't occur again in text. We'll follow the system, at least in the little priest realm. But people not following directions and God getting mad is going to happen throughout the rest of the text, no matter what. But in terms of the ordination and the priesthood little section, it's a pretty big lesson. Yes.
One interpretation of him not being able to mourn was that he needed to keep up his priestly duties, and that he could not take the time to mourn.
He couldn't attend the time in the morning because he had to go back to work.
Another
Yeah.
thing is, this is, I think that all these painful things
Bless you.
are difficult for us to comprehend or to teach us a lesson. And the fire was considered, one interpretation was that it was incense that was used for the pagan gods.
Oh yeah. They were doing it. That's what the Esh Zarah was. That's right. That they had faulted back to the idol system as opposed to the new system they were supposed to follow through on the ordination. So here's a view that you'll take or not. It's not my idea, but it is a view, because it's alien fire. So let's keep that in mind. It was Esh Zarah. It was unsanctioned. It was clearly, we know that it was unsanctioned fire. We also know, by the way, that Nadav and Avihu literally had just heard how to do it. So they have the instructions. They know what to do, and the first thing they do is they go and do an alien sacrifice. So one view is that they're showing off. They say, "Look, we're priests. We can do this. We have access to it. No one else does, except for us. Literally, no one else did, because it was only the 4 of them, or the 5 of them, right? Only 5 people on the planet at that moment had the power to do it, because they were the priests. So there's a explanation that they were showing off. There's one explanation, by the way, that says that they were excited. Well, so zealous is also a view of part of their like showing offness, but part of it was true, meaning that they truly felt so honored to be able to do this, and that they were younger, and so they went to do it out of like this eagerness to go and do this because they had the opportunity to do it, but they offered it right after, even though it wasn't sanctioned. They couldn't wait to do it. And this is the difficult part, is that they do it, and so it's accepted. Meaning the fire comes forth and it's accepted because of their eagerness to do it. Not because they do it. The alien fire just simply is because it wasn't the time to do it. But there's nothing negative about what they did. They wanted to do it, that they felt compelled to be able to do it, and maybe were too young to see that it wasn't the right time to do it, and it comes forth, and it was accepted. Maybe they didn't. They might have done it on purpose. They might have wanted. They were so eager to partake in the process because it was exciting for them that they could do it, and the fire came forth, and it was accepted in the same way, by the way, that it was accepted above. So even though it was an alien fire to begin with, ultimately the sacrifice is accepted. So it's an interesting angle on it, which also then explains Aaron's response, because they are dead, that we can't change. But perhaps they did it with a different intent, with a positive intent, as opposed to a negative intent. Again, not my theory, but a theory to help explain the situation that's really troubling to begin with. Yes?
How do you explain that they were supposedly consumed by this fire, but their tunics were not burned, and then they were hauled away from afterwards?
Because there was probably some remnant, let's say, that was pulled away.
But their tunic wasn't burned.
So
That's what I
it was a godly fire. It was, who knows how it came forth. It's a great question. I don't know that. I don't know that answer. But because, so if we keep reading now, so let's go to 4.
Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Uziel, the uncle of Aaron, and said to them, "Come forward and carry your kinsmen away from the front of the sanctuary to a place outside the camp." They came forward and carried them out of the camp by their tunics, as Moses had ordered. And Moses said to Aaron and to his sons Eleazar and Itamar, "Do not bare your heads and do not rend your clothes, lest you die and anger strike the whole community. But your kin, all the house of Israel, shall bewail the burning that the Eternal has wrought. And so do not go outside the entrance of the tent of meeting, lest you die, for the Eternal's anointing oil is upon you." And they did as Moses had bidden.
Okay, so what happened? What happened? What happened?
Moses told them to stay inside.
Moses told who to stay inside?
Aaron and his remaining sons.
Right. So Moses, Eleazar, and Itamar to stay inside. But what happens with everyone else?
They can mourn.
Right. So the community then mourns. So the community then mourns for the loss. And then we get to 8, which tags in a little bit to what Harry said at the beginning. Go to 8 now.
And the Eternal One spoke to Aaron, saying, "Drink no wine or other intoxicant, you or your sons, when you enter the tent of meeting, that you may not die."
Okay. So now the commentary says, were they drunk? Now that's one of the commentaries. Maybe we were partying. Maybe they were partying. Because why is that piece of text right there in this spot? Interesting that it sits there right there in that spot. Maybe one of the interpretations is that they were drunk. Which we know, by the way, isn't that terrible of a deal because they were celebrating. But we know someone else who celebrated after a major disaster and got beaten up for it. Who was that? Who else in text had a little too much to drink after a big, gigantic tragedy? Yes? Noah. Yeah, so Noah had the entire world destroyed in front of him, got off of the ark and had a drink. And he got drunk and he got yelled at. And I'm thinking to myself, I probably would need a drink too. but yeah.
Why is the commentary that they were drunk when it says right after that this is the law for all time throughout the ages? We must distinguish between the sacred and the profane. So that's, to me, that says that's more of a rule just to be a rule because it says so.
Yeah, it's possible, by the way. The commentary is just about the placement. It's interesting that the drinking line comes right after this section, and then the commentary then jumps in to say, could they have been drunk? That's why that statement's there. Because the placement's weird of that. That's all. The proximity of that statement is odd. But the rest is nice because it says this is the law for all time, for you must distinguish between the sacred and profane, which, by the way, we still have to all the time. This is like if you do a Havdalah, everything you say is Havdalah. La, 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 la. You have to, all we do is distinguish between the sacred and the profane. We do it all the time. Yeah.
Well, but so much of that has to do with wine, right? Like so many of our celebrations have to do with wine.
Almost all of them have to do with wine, but only because you're using the wine as the vehicle for sanctification. You don't have to use wine to sanctify. So, for instance, the Kiddush, just as an example, the Kiddush itself, not Borei Pri Hagafen, but the long version that he sings over there really nicely, right? Doesn't say anything about wine. It's only we're saying Borei Pri Hagafen at the beginning because we're pointing out that we're using the wine as the vehicle for bringing in Shabbat. I have a good friend. She was here. She visited us Emily, who's in the Navy, she can't, poor thing, is a rabbi who can't digest grapes. So she can't ever have wine or have wine at Kiddush, but there is a lot of, every commentary says you don't have to have wine to sanctify. You can use anything but water, because water is too mundane. But you can use anything, so you can use milk, you can use juice, you can use, which is why you can use grape juice, not necessarily wine. You can use apple juice, you can use anything you want. It's just that don't say borei pri hagafen before it, because you're not using the geffen, you're not using the grape. But the Kiddush isn't about the wine. The Kiddush is about the sanctification of Shabbat. So it's that same concept. You can use anything you want prior. We just use the vehicle as wine. You can use the challah, by the way. So she actually does. This is her lesson all the time whenever she does it, because you can use the challah for the sanctification, because she can eat the challah. So she uses the challah and the blessing for the challah, and then so she does the challah blessing and explains she uses that to sanctify Shabbat, as opposed to the juice or the wine, because she can't have it. You can't even have the challah. Huh. Yes. In 8.
God is speaking directly to Aaron. Is that the first time, or has God spoken to Aaron? Usually God speaks to Moses, and Moses tells Aaron.
I think it's not the first time. I think it's not the first time, but I'm not sure. I'm not gonna go and say for sure yes or for sure.
No, you know far more than I, but that's the first time I recall.
I don't know.
And that only happens after this ordination process and after his kids are sacrificed. Now God gets to talk to him directly.
It's a good thing to search. I'm not positive, but I'm going to say it's not the first time, but easily searchable, very easily searchable. Yeah, but I can check on that. Yeah, you can ask Siri. Siri, I have an app for that can find it. And so, right, so it says, for all time, between sacred and profane, and between the unclean and the clean, you must teach the Israelites all the laws which the Lord has imparted to them through Moses. Right? So these are all the laws, which goes back to your opening question on who is being talked to. God maybe is clarifying here for us to say, it's really me, God speaking, but it's through Moses. You're just hearing it through Moses, but it's me who's talking, God. So the last thing that I just want us to glance at, we're not gonna go into it right now, but your homework is to look at chapter 11, because chapter 11 is that third part, which is, I find to be awesome, because I love that the Torah, quote, uses ink to list animals so it's clear to us that are clean and unclean. And this is also one of my favorite games I always play with when this Torah portion is for B'nai Mitzvah. What I usually ask, let's see, kosher, unkosher, and then you can play the game on which animals are kosher, unkosher. But I think it's fascinating that we get the whole top section about chewing cud and not chewing cud, and then that last part about the list of animals that are that eat other animals that aren't kosher, and then all the cool other stuff about different kinds of animals, like there's a whole bunch of other cool animals in here. So your homework is to look at chapter 11 because I think it's so cool, and then it makes sense, by the way, that we get rules about animals and cleanliness first. Some commentary says, because the animals were created before us, because it's next week that we hear about cleanliness starting really more deeply about us. So animals first, and then we're second, because animals were created before us anyway. So next week is everyone's favorite set of Torah portions. Tazria Metzorah is next week. So anyone who wants to come with ointment next week, because Tazria Metzorah is all about menstruation, blood, skin disease, oozing, pus filled, and the real development of what's clean and unclean comes and starts to stem from. We got it already this week. Shmini starts for us because the mikvah concepts start for us already this week in Shmini. But then the cleanliness system is now in place because we really need it for next week. Yeah, so everyone come with ointment and come bathed, please. That means you, Muchnik. Yeah. Yes.
Speaking of cleanliness, in your Shabbat message,
Yes.
you mentioned that the closest mikvah for us is the ocean.
Correct.
There are other,
Mikvaot.
I guess so, in the closer than the ocean.
Many.
So, reform.
We don't have access to them. Correct. The only multi-denominational mikvah that exists in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County is the ocean.
So you can use salt water?
You can use any natural water. So, and a mikvah is natural water on the way that it's set up and captured. But you can't use captured water like your faucet, because your faucet water is captured. But you can use mikvah water.
So when we go to Tashkent, we could also go to the mikveh.
You could. Is that natural? Does that water go anywhere? Does this canal go anywhere? I don't think it does. Does it? It does? Is it a real system? I don't think so. I think it's a man-made system. I know, but does it ultimately go to? It ultimately gets to the ocean? It doesn't just. It's not a moat. I don't know if it goes in. If it goes to the ocean, hypothetically that could be. But good luck if you want to use that little pond right out here as your mikvah. I'm going to recommend that you don't do that and that you do the ocean, and that the Everglades would count. I would also definitely not go in there. For sure. Yeah, and you have to be naked, so I would definitely not go in to the Everglades naked. That is a...
Why wouldn't, if a reformed person had the intention that they wanted to cleanse themselves in a mikvah,
Yes.
why wouldn't they be allowed to use non-reformed mikvah?
What do you mean? What's a non-reformed mikvah?
Maybe a conservative, why would they not be allowed to use?
Oh, they're only because of access. We're not allowed. We're not allowed. They won't let us in. That's all.
Because they don't have an Orthodox party.
They get the water from the same place that we would get our water. Their mikvah is built the same way that our mikvah is. It's just an access point. I think probably if you went to Chabad and you said you want to use the mikvah, they'd ask you why, where you're from, what you're using it for. If you're Jewish, you have to prove it, what denomination, why you want to. Probably ask you a bunch of questions because they don't want you in there. So unless you're Jewish. So, which is, by the way, I heard though that there is talk about making a community mikvah. So, which would be amazing and awesome. So I'll put a quarter into my Phoenix jar to mention Phoenix, but my former congregation in Phoenix, you also need money. So we had congregants who are actually divorced now, but we had congregants at that point, and they were married, and she wanted to go through a conversion, and the closest place in Phoenix to have a conversion was the mikvah in Los Angeles, because LA has an accessible mikvah for all denominations. So they had to fly from Phoenix to Los Angeles for her mikvah, and that's when, because they have lots of money, said they would build a mikvah, and they called it, then there was the Stein family, and the Stein, so they're still on the property of my former synagogue, the Stein family mikvah, because they built it. And they had two Orthodox rabbis, one from Los Angeles, one from New York, come in and oversee the build of it. So it is the only mikvah of its kind on the planet because it is mikvah on a Reform campus authorized by Orthodox, conservative, and Reform rabbis. No other mikvah on the planet exists like that. There are mikvaot on conservative property, and there are mikvaot on Reform property, but none of those were authorized by Orthodox rabbis. So it is an Orthodox, conservative, and Reform authorized mikvah. As to what? Well, he can go. I mean, if you wanted to go, you'd have to go and compel them for your use. You'd be easier to go, by the way, than Linda. Linda would have to go even further, and they would probably ask even some more personal questions about your family purity practice at home and your kashrut level, probably, and all of that stuff. So the answer is you could go. I just think it would be a lot more complicated for you to go, because you'd have to answer a large series of questions. Which, by the way, every mikvah won't just let you just go in. A lot of questions. So, for instance, that the mikvah's, I guess, main use outside of the Orthodox world is for family purity, for a woman to go to transfer from a state of impurity to a state of purity, right? So that's the main use, I would say, of it. But in the Reform world and the conservative world, it's usually for conversions. So, because you have to go through a mikvah to go through conversion. So, you don't have to, because the Reform movement actually, some Reform rabbis don't require you to do mikvah. This rabbi requires mikvah, but and that Cantor also requires mikvah, right? Yes. So, but the point is that so many people would come to us in Phoenix and say, I finished a series of learning with Rabbi so-and-so, and I want to go through the mikvah, and there was a list of Rabbi so-and-sos who were not allowed to be in our system because they were not real rabbis. They claimed to be rabbis, and so we told those people, we're sorry, you can't use our mikvah in order for you to go through the process. So you see, even the Reform movement had a standard of who could use the mikvah, so you could imagine that someone in the Orthodox would ask you similar questions. So I would say, unfortunately, on the phone, I would say, I'm really sorry, but you can't use our mikvah because we don't really call this person a rabbi. So therefore, we don't call your learning process an official learning process. We don't call that person an ordained rabbi, so you can't use the mikvah because they were a fly-by-night. I became a rabbi last week. So, yay. I wasn't a rabbi 2 weeks ago, but now I am. So, yes.
Just as a side question, mikvahs where baptism came from Christian faith, I'm assuming.
What's that?
Is it mikvah, the practice of conversion in the mikvah, is that where
Yes.
baptism?
The baptismal pool, yes.
Yeah, I assume
Yes. Which also, by the way, if you have a chance to ever visit a Mormon temple before they seal it, by the way, if you ever have a chance to visit a Mormon temple before they seal it, don't miss it, because you have a chance to tour a temple. It's astounding. Then they seal it, and then no one not Mormon can ever enter it again, but pre-seal. And I've been in several, by the way, pre-sealed, because anytime there's one near me, I go. It's incredible, and they're lavish and gorgeous, but they have a mikvah in the center, and they have a baptismal pool, and it looks just like a mikvah. It has 7 steps, just like the mikvah does. It has 12 arms, like 12 claws that hold the bottom of it. 12, like the tribes, all connected, and so they have a baptismal pool. So in the center of a Mormon temple, if you ever have a chance to go to a Mormon temple, because they usually keep it open for usually 2 or 3 months prior. When they're completed, they open it to the public to go in. And they're more than happy for you to go in and walk around. It's unbelievable. And then you also see that everything is thousands and thousands of dollars. Every corner, every crevice, every light fixture is thousands of dollars. It's incredible. So you should check out. And I don't know how I ended up on Mormonism. Oh, because of the mikvah. Thank you. But yes, save us so we can conclude Torah service. Yeah, Torah. Yeah.
I remember years ago when I was in Israel, in Jordan River, there was a baptismal place,
It's amazing.
And somebody said to us afterwards, it was an Israeli guy, I assume he had an Israeli accent. He says, after they leave, he says, you can go and use it as a nickname.
Yeah, you can. It's true. It's true. Yeah. When I got, I'll end quickly. When I got married, it was after the first year of rabbi school. So it was cool because it was in the summer, and so it was almost a reunion for all of us in our first year to come. And so all the students came to my wedding, which is really cool. All the rabbinic students came to my wedding, which is very nice. And I remember that we were staying in a hotel, and it was an indoor pool because it was in Maryland. So it was an indoor pool at the hotel, and there was the pool, and then behind the pool was the entrance to the jacuzzi. And I remember that a bunch of the female rabbi students decided to go to the pool, and they were wearing their little tiny bathing suits, and little skimpy little bathing suits, and they went to the pool, they went to the jacuzzi, and they were apparently in the jacuzzi for a while. I think they probably took a couple of beers with them or a couple of beverages with them because we were just celebrating. And I think they were in the jacuzzi. They were off duty, and I think they spent a good time behind there. When they came out of the jacuzzi into the pool area, we did not know, but a Baptist convention was at the same time, and they were using the pool as a baptismal pool, and they were all in their robes, and all like 8 of these little rabbi students, women, in their little tiny two-piece, little tiny bikinis came out like, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, and walked through like 30 people who are in these blue robes who were all in the pool, who were baptizing people, and they were like, sorry, we're not going to tell them that we're rabbinic students. We're just going to walk by them. So that's a story from my wedding, because they were like, there were no baptism happening when we went into the jacuzzi, but when we came around the jacuzzi, they were doing baptisms. The fast forward, by the way, is that we were doing we did the Saturday night dinner there. We did it out in a public area in the hotel, and one of the cantoral students found the piano and rolled it in and started to play like all kinds of like fun music, and we started to dance, and all the people from the Baptist convention came and joined us, and we were dancing around the hotel with the Baptists too. It was awesome just before my wedding. It was so cool Saturday night, yeah, with that same crew who were like, oh, I remember seeing all those women wearing little tiny bikinis. So yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, that's you, that's right, little tiny bikinis. Yeah, so it's a funny story. Yeah. Yeah. Now they're all rabbis and cantors, and probably not doing that, or maybe they are. All right, with the Torah in front of us, let's think of those in our community who are in need of healing, a physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. If there's a name you're thinking of and you want to share their name, please share their name at this time. Anyone on there?
Greg?
Yes, good job.
Shabbat shalom.
Jacob, Jerry Cruz, and Mark Horowitz.
Shelley Anderson, David Craven.
Francie Craven, Franklin Natali, and Phil Kamenet.
Lawrence May, Gail Gibson, Kenneth Sandy Tankus, Duke Fruman, Gerard family, all those affected by the war in Ukraine, who were in struggles in Israel, and anti-Semitism and the hate crimes in Bible.
Jane Breslau. Susan Gilliard.
משבח אבותינו ואמותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, אבקה חלב לאה, וברך את החולים, קדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם, להחלימם ולפותם, להחזיקם, וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף. השתה ברלה בזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion, for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. We are going to return the Torah to the Ark, 256, and together we stand.
Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem keren le'ah תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה. עץ חיים היא, למה חזיקים בה, ותומכיה מאושר. דרכיה דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
A few announcements. Tuesday evening at 5:45, we'll be having our Yom HaShoah Tekes, our ceremony and service for Yom HaShoah. It's going to be here. It's going to be in the sanctuary. You're welcome to join us. It's going to be about an hour. It's going to be, you can come at 5:45 if you want to. And there'll be a little food, I think, because it's going to be the back half of our religious school food. So there'll be some leftover food if you want to join us, and then we'll have a service and a speaker also here from FAU, and our youth will also be participating in the service. That's Tuesday, and then I guess the next thing is the Broadway. That's on the 28th, 29th. Tickets are going really fast on it.
Yeah.
Every
70%
are sold. So if you haven't already got your ticket for the Broadway show, you should definitely do that. That's coming up really soon. I can't believe we feel like we're talking about it for the end of April, and it's almost the end of April. And what else? The most immediate stuff? Coffee and Conversation is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Coffee and Conversation tomorrow. Thank you very much. Rabbi Khan will be doing Coffee and Conversation tomorrow morning. Food and study, so come. It's going to be really lovely tomorrow morning.
Will that be online? It said in a courtyard.
North Social Hall, yeah. Yes. It was going to be if the tent was back up, but we're going to put the tent back up a little. We're going to move closer to the summer. So, yes. It's hot and could be rainy, so we're going to go inside. And we learned from the last time that we're not melting anymore. Yes, we're going to do that in there. So yes, Coffee and Conversation. I think that's all we have. A million other things on the website that we still have left this year. I think, but is that it? Yeah. Oh, there's mahjong every week. What else? I think that's it. Okay.
My class is closed, but
Right. Yeah. Cantor's class is closed. Which I heard it was good though. The first class was good.
it was very good.
Yeah. Okay. Aleinu can be found on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
אחד. Think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us. those who died at the season in years past, and those who have been drawn into our hearts with our own, Zichronam Livracha. May their memories be for blessing. Founding President of Congregation B'nai Israel, Joel S. Nadel, Charlotte Gottlieb, Anne Sanfilippo, Doris Gold, Judith Lax, Stanley Miller, Judy Kirshner, Scott Abish, Bertha Itzkowitz, Joel Aaron Gordon, Dr. Albert Angel, and any name you would like to add at this time.
Dora Kanagas.
294. Yitgadal v'ikadash me'rabah, v'amad yivrach riuteh v'amlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabah mevorach le'olam olmei olmaya, yitbarach v'ishtabach v'yitpa'a v'yitomam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitala shmei kodesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran v'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. The one who creates harmony on high, bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say, amen. Please be seated. We're going to conclude our service with
Ein Keloheinu.
Ein Keloheinu,
322.
322.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu,
Mi Chadonenu, Mi Chemalkeinu, Mi Chemoshienu. Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu.
Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu,
Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu,
Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu
Moshienu. Adonai Oz Lemo Yiten, Adonai Varech et Amo V'Shalom. May God give strength unto our people. Continue to bless us with hope and strength and love and peace to all. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.